Our topic today is on communication tips. And so with communication is a huge part of events and campaigns. With communication and as a part of Swell, we have peer-to-peer organically built into the software. That was a very thoughtful part of the design from day zero on this company. And the idea behind that is that every person or every nonprofit event or campaign have champions. And you have people who love your cause and who can help bring more people into that effort. When it comes to communication tips, I would have been remiss if I didn't talk about the who first, though, because sometimes you can have the best communication, the best software, the best event, but if the who box isn't checked well, there's nothing you can do to correct that. So I'm just going to spend one slide talking about who and just some characteristics of great champions. When I talk about champions, this could be a fundraiser for an online campaign. This could be a person who has signed up for a walk. This could be one of your event committee members for a tabled luncheon event. Champions take all forms, are needed in all aspects of your fundraising kind of campaign and event landscape. But the characteristics of a champion are, first, that person is positive, passionate. They've got a little edge for perseverance. They'll push through a little discomfort sometimes, and that they're popular. And that doesn't mean they're maybe widely popular, but they're popular within their network, whatever their network is. They aren't always young. One mistake that I feel like nonprofits make sometimes is they assume this person, because a lot of this is technologically enabled, they think, oh, it's young. This is a way to reach young people. Some of our best fundraisers have been 80-year-olds, and as long as they hit that first box. So the third is being tech forward or highly relational. And so that's just somebody that's great with emailing their friends, texting their friends, things like that. The fourth one is accomplishes goals. So this is a person that when they set a goal, they really like to achieve it, and it bugs them until they do. And because I can't understand the following, but there are people that can set a goal and not hit that and not be bothered by it. I don't personally understand that, but that exists. So look for people who have a goal and don't and follow through. And if they're a little bit competitive, that's a bonus. Our leaderboards and leaderboards in general can really motivate that person if they have a little bit of a competitive edge. So I put as a note here, though, a lot of these characteristics sometimes are not found on your board. A big mistake that is made is people just say, oh, well, our board will do this. And you may have a couple of members of your board that fit this, but it's rare for an entire board to fit this. So maybe your board member knows somebody. And so this is an important factor. And so all the work we may talk about on communication doesn't work unless we have some of the who factor going on. So look for these people within your organization. And amazingly, you don't need many to be successful. We've seen really great campaigns with just 5 to 10 of these champions involved, like really successful campaigns with just a few of these types of personalities involved. So let's jump into communication. And these are just ideas on how to motivate that person, things that you can do. One of the things I think that's hard for development directors and nonprofit staff to do is to recognize that when you're in this role, you aren't necessarily the one doing the asking, the fundraising. You're now a cheerleader. You are a champion for them. You're like I guess more of a coach behind them. So you're the coach behind your champions, keeping that team motivated and together and figuring out what helps them do what they do. So from a communication goal standpoint, the goals of it are, the first and foremost is you want to equip your champions. That's an internal communication. The second thing you really want to do is create a positive experience for them so that they A, might do it again, or B, tell a friend. But you really want being a champion for your organization to be positive. That's also an internal communication. Third is rewarding participants through your communication. So externally, in your external communication, use your external communication to reward them. So reward your participants for being a champion for you. Reaching your fundraising goals and building awareness is definitely a goal of your communication. And then a final goal is to build momentum for next year, which I think often gets missed. We so focus on this year that we don't focus on what can we do to make sure that we have lots of good champions the next year and that people want to participate in our campaign. So we're going to go through those. This slide that I just went through is a bit of an agenda. And so we're going to go through those topics and specific communication types that support that communication. You'll also see in resources, there's more support for a lot of this as well. So the first and foremost is equipping your champions. And this is a common step that clients take for the more traditional peer-to-peer events, like a walk. We sort of know that we need to provide them with a fundraising toolkit. And you really do. That's an essential tool. We have an example toolkit that you can download from our help desk. These toolkits provide example social media posts, example emails. They encourage them to set a goal, how to use a goal, and what to do with that goal. And then helping them create fear of missing out with their post. I'm going to talk a little bit about that later, but that's an element that you might not think about, but helping them create that social proof in their social media posts and in their emails is really helpful. So this is an essential step, but don't miss the opportunity to provide a version of a toolkit to your event committee, where they're maybe selling tickets to your event, or they're encouraging people to buy a table. A toolkit of sorts is helpful for every version of a champion. And so, and that's one thing, again, at Swell, we really think that every event has a peer-to-peer component. Some are more obvious than others, but every event is successful because that event has people that love the event and are champions for that. And we like to motivate that at every turn when we can. The second thing that you really need to do internally to equip your champions is to educate them about your organization. Some may know your organization very intimately, and you might not need to do this, but in every campaign and every event we've ever worked with, often that champion especially will find themselves needing to answer a question about your organization. And one of the worst things you can do is them feel awkward, like you've sent them out to fundraise, but now they don't know who to call when someone says, hey, I have this issue that relates to this organization, or how does my child sign up for that camp, or I have a friend who's in a scary situation with a spouse or a partner, a domestic partner, so and that has happened to our champions, where a champion has gotten that response back and needed to direct someone to help. So equipping them to do that is really important, and letting them know that they're a big part of that as they build awareness. And the third thing you can do to equip a champion is coach them on how to ask. This is a little one-pager that it's easy to go through during a kickoff meeting or even a Zoom call, or if you're meeting with this champion one-to-one over lunch. Just hand them this, and this prompts them to think through how they would answer it. And one of the things that I think is really important is the second one, which is why they are doing this campaign, and always encouraging them to use their words. Sometimes people are on a campaign because they've had a personal experience, or a loved one's had a personal experience. Sometimes they're doing it because their boss is on the board, and that's funny. Like, hey, help me reach this goal. My boss made me do it. Like that's not why you're here, but if that's why they're here, their friends will see that, and that's actually not a bad post to put out there. Or I was challenged by a friend to be a part of this, and I've really always wanted to be a part of it. You just don't know what their why is, but their why is really important. The second thing you can do is help them create a fear of missing out. And again, this goes to equipping them. This fear of missing out, kind of scarcity feeling, is something that is unique to peer-to-peer and something that you can't create. And so to the extent you can prompt them to create it, it's amazing. These are just a few example posts where some fundraising champions were creating this kind of fear of missing out. So if you'll see in the first post, this fundraiser does a really good job of thanking the people who have already given. And that's a great way of telling that person's friends, oh, wow, they've already given, I better give too. I don't want to miss out on being a part of that list. So, and you can see how, in this case, this person, Greg, has reshared an original post. Like, he's reshared his original ask and thanked people on top of it. And that's a great technique for for creating that fear of missing out. You'll see in another post where a fundraiser is challenging a fellow fundraiser, and they've got a funny meme here where they've transposed their faces on it and are sort of inviting all of their mutual friends to help them in this race. So, and in more of a little competitive set. And so that's just, again, a really good way of, I wanted to show that technique of you. And so literally tell your fundraisers like to do that, to go in and thank their donors, tag their donors, and thank their donors online. I think social media is a great place to do that. Better even than an ask. It's easy to scroll past an ask. So those are some techniques to equip your fundraisers. The next piece is creating a positive experience. You know, one thing about these types of fundraisers and campaigns is a lot of times we ask things of our champions, and then we don't think about what we're providing to them. It's, you know, you've committed to raise $2,000, go raise it, you know, and you're busy. And this is a part of the work that is easy to lose. Set up, I think the first step always is to set up an internal communication tool so that this is easy for you. That means a group text, a group email, something where it's really easy to just click that group and shoot them a short email. That's going to help facilitate you doing this. So anything that helps you do this faster and more organically, you should do that. So just go ahead and set up that group text, set up that group email as soon as you can. One thing that's good to create that experience is to connect them. One of the reasons that so many people are involved in nonprofits is often it's the cause, but the real bonus is who we meet in the process. It's the relationships and the friendships we build and the connections. So connect them, you know, introduce people to each other. It might be that you highlight somebody in a big group email, but it might be that, you know, fundraiser A and fundraiser B both worked for the same company 5 years ago, or maybe, you know, they live in the same neighborhood, or maybe, you know something about them that they don't know about each other. Send them an email and say, hey, you know, by the way, I just want to let you two know that you have this in common, and we're so excited. You know, I hope you get to know each other through this. It could literally be just that, but you're providing that kind of positive experience around that, and that's an invaluable thing you can provide to your participants. Help them. So one way to create a positive experience, again, is to help them. So periodic posts and email examples. I think it's really good to at least once a week, depending on the duration of your campaign, at least once a week to send them an example and say, hey, here's an example for this week. Send them something that coaches them, remind them, hey, remember to tag your friends. So you're going to send them all that in the beginning, but remind them. Don't make them go back to something you sent them 2 months ago. Sending them a list of previous donors. So you may know that that person has a group of people that have already donated to you. Maybe they're lapsed donors. Send them that list. Say, hey, you know, here's a group of your friends that have donated to us in the past. Help them think about people. And then follow up with individuals who are showing progress or none at all. So again, you may see somebody that really had a standout day. Shoot them an email. Tell them that you noticed. Or if somebody's still at zero, shoot them a text and say, hey, can we meet? How can I help you? What are you running into? And then I think rewards are really fun. I don't know that they're always necessary. And those rewards can be also intangible. They don't have to be like real gift cards to restaurants and stuff. Sometimes people are really happy to just win the week or to beat their friend or whatever it is. So just fun rewards are just something that spice everything up. I do think younger people like rewards, by the way. So some of our college groups have really liked the gift cards and things like that. So that's a little bit of an age thing. The third thing we were talking about is rewarding your participants through the communication. So this is where you, through your communication channels, can highlight them and reward their participation. So that means profiling them. Profile them on your social media as if they're an honoree. Get their bio, get their picture, celebrate them, put them on your LinkedIn page and tag the company that they work for. Something that really says, you know, we're honored that you're involved with us, and sort of honors them and honors their involvement. List and thank those champions in an email to your e-blast, like to everyone touching your organization. Consider listing them on a page in your annual report if you're not already doing that. Celebrate successful days publicly. So if you have a really successful day or successful week, send an email out to everybody highlighting that person. Be like, wow, we had a real standout week from Greg. You know, can't thank you enough for bringing in 22 new donors this week and $1,500 you've made, just highlight that. And thank them through a personal message. Very little can replace you personally reaching out to them and telling them what it means to you to see. I've done that before, where I've just logged into a campaign that I cared about. I saw a donor that I didn't expect to see. I shot them a text. I was just like, wow, you've made my day, and that makes their day, right? So the last thing I want to point out here, though, is to think of them as major donors. One thing that gets overlooked in the nonprofit space is that while this particular fundraiser might not be giving you $10,000 or $25,000, they may be helping you raise $10,000. So treat them like they're a $10,000 donor. I guess treat them as if they're giving the amount they're raising for you. So if there is a major donor event or something where that level person can be include them. Because they are in their way a major donor, and in a lot of ways even more important too. They've invited other people to join your cause. So consider treating them like a major donor. The fourth was raising funds and awareness. I really just wanted to jump to obviously updates about goals is really helpful. But also getting away from just fundraising goals, number of new donors to your cause, the number of clicks to your website, if you had calls come in. So always highlighting what might be happening on the awareness side to them. I think that really helps round out the experience. A campaign or event is obviously a great time for you to leverage in-kind PR or local TV to support them. So anything you do publicly like that, whether there's an article written or a newscast, send them the link and then they can share it. So that gives share with their friends. And then the final thing is to provide a QR code to the champions. So give them a card or something where they can pass it around, and they can be fundraising all the time. So really help them raise funds by using your mobile giving tools. If there's a place to put the fundraising display, put that and focus on that. But again, I've seen people do the QR code on little business cards that they pass around to all of their champions. And that way, anywhere that champion is sitting, they can have somebody donate. At an event, I've seen it on stickers, help my fundraising page at a walk, So that QR code is a really good way for them to invite a gift in real time like that. And the last piece of this presentation I wanted to highlight is ultimately all you're trying to do is hit these 5 characteristics. And I talk about these 5 characteristics a lot because I feel like they apply to so much of the giving space. And so in your communication to your fundraisers, this is what you're trying to help them reach. I'm going to go through each one now and tie together everything we just talked about. So reciprocity. Reciprocity is when your fundraiser, you give them a sample email and they send it to 10 friends, and maybe 5 of those friends feel like they owe that friend something. Maybe that we've given to a cause on their behalf before, and so they reciprocate. And that is one type of giving, where someone reciprocates to me because I gave something to a cause maybe they care about and all. So that is where that equipping them and encouraging them to send that email out to friends will help you get a lot of that reciprocal giving going on, which is great. The second, that social proof, the likability piece, that's where I highlighted when they use social media to show who's giving. And that's where you want to highlight everybody that's given to the campaign, a list of donors, just to say other people are giving to this campaign, you should too. At the champion level, it looks like, hey, all of these friends of mine are giving. Are you giving? So that's a micro group of, let's say, my network as a champion for you. So that's where social proof comes in for your organization. And again, that's where that we talked about that a little bit already. Scarcity is a little harder to create in an online campaign. It's easier for an event because an event happens on one day and you can only participate on that day. You can only give around that day in order to participate. Online campaigns, it's a little harder to create that. But again, it's that idea of and you can put this in your wording, which is, you want to be a part of this goal. You want to be a part of this solution. You can only be a part of this today, or this month. And so, and you can do that by highlighting the donors that give to your, whatever the name of your campaign or event is, and helping them feel like that is an important thing that they want to be a part of and associated with. And so that creates scarcity. Then they have to give then. And that's obviously the purpose of these kinds of campaigns, because it 24/7, 365, someone can go click a donate button on all of your websites. So the whole point of an event and campaign is to create this isolated period of time where they feel compelled to give. And that's what that scarcity piece is. Commitment and consistency is one that's often missed. And this is where you can look back to lapsed donors and previous year donors, provide that list of champions, and really acknowledge people who have given to you multiple years. And so we do see really good success with an e-blast that goes out from your organization to a previous year group and say, hey, we so appreciated your gift from, maybe insert the previous year fundraiser's name, check out our current list of champions. We would love to be able to include you, here in this year. Also, don't miss your chance to become one of our, to continue to be a multi-year donor into this. And we see a good response from eBlast on that kind of email that goes to a previous year donor base, because people like to be committed and acknowledged for their consistency into an organization. And then the last is authority. And authority is that moment where you go on television and talk about your organization. Maybe it's a leader in your community. Bigger organizations, that looks like a celebrity figure. Someone of authority that your champions can get excited to be associated with, that they can reshare, who's talking about your cause, or someone who was impacted by your cause. I also think an authority figure can be a program recipient too, though. So if you've got a really compelling program story or client, that's a great thing to share, and people give. Because a celebrity told us to. That's the Ice Bucket Challenge. So I don't know if I've showed my age there, if you guys even, I don't know if that's even relevant anymore, the Ice Bucket Challenge. But anyway, so always in your communication, think about what you're trying to do in that, the reciprocity, the proof, the scarcity, the consistency, and the authority. And so with that, these are short. Communication tips could be an hour, and I'd love to go through. We have timelines and examples. I'm going to go here to resources so that you can see. If you click on the resources, we have several posts here, who to ask, your fundraising guide, some resource guides. We also have an email that when you start a campaign, we can send you every day. And so that was created several years ago, but it's a little prompt with an idea for you every day to email your champions. So at the end of it all, which I should have put on its own slide, is if you're having fun, your participants will have fun. And that is a really important element of all of your communication and of all of the experiences, to be having fun with it, and to make sure that everyone involved is having a really positive experience. Are there any questions? No? Let's hit what's next. Which this dovetails into it. So the next, on June 5th, we'll talk about a flash campaign. Flash campaigns are, I love flash campaigns. I'm about to dive into that. I don't mean to, but let me define a flash campaign for you so you know what not to miss on June 5th. And a flash campaign is how you can be ready for moments where something may pop up in your market. And that's what we love about clients who use Swell, is that you always have a tool that can very quickly be turned into a flash campaign for a cause. So let's say, a hurricane hits. You need a flash campaign. Or a tornado. You're in Iowa. That's devastating tornadoes in Iowa yesterday, and your community needs a flash campaign. We also had a client who unfortunately had a theft, and all the bikes for their camp were stolen. That's a flash campaign, and they wanted to be able to sort of wake up one day and run it really fast. And there's some things you need in place to do that, and we'll go through that on June 5th. So I'll stop there on flash campaigns, but that's what that is being ready to take advantage. Sounds selfish, but to be ready in those moments where there's some momentum toward your cause and a need. And then finally, we always want you to know how to get help from us. Join us for office hours every Wednesday from 2:30 to 4:30, right after this call. Our help desk, support at swellfundraising.com. And we're always here to make sure that you have the support you need. So thank you so much for joining me for Just One Thing. And we're all, again, if there's a resource that you need or something that gets lost in the haste of this, reach out and we'll be sure that you're supported. So have a great afternoon, everybody.